Hello, I'm Barry, and this is today's Daily Focus. As we're coming up on Easter, one of the things we wanted to focus on were some of the key events that happened in the life of Jesus and the disciples in the week that preceded his crucifixion and resurrection. And one of those key events that happened was the washing of the disciples' feet, when Jesus made a decision that he would wash their feet at the beginning of a meal that they were going to have. And that's sort of an interesting thing that he chose to do, particularly if you look at it in context. Back in those days, it wasn't that unusual for people to wash their feet before eating, particularly given the fact that most folks went around in sandals and they walked through all kinds of things, and there was really no opportunity for them to clean their feet any other time. And so what you would typically have if you had a feast or a meal is that the host of that feast would do one of two things. If they had enough wealth, they would hire servants, and the servants would come in and they would wash the feet of the guests, and it would work that way. And if they didn't have enough wealth, they would simply bring the bowls of water necessary for washing feet, give them to the guests, and the guests would wash their own feet. In the case of this particular scripture, which is found in John 13, Jesus washes the disciples' feet, and in the washing of their feet, there's a lesson. It goes like this. John 13. Jesus rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. He then poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" And Jesus answered him, "What I am going to do you do not understand now, but afterwards you will understand." And Peter said to him, "You shall never wash my feet." And Jesus answered him, "If I do not wash you, you have no share in me." And Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not only my feet, but also my hands and my head." When he had washed their feet and put his outer garments back on and resumed his place, he said to them, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that you also should do just as I have done for you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them." Now, there's a couple of points that are key that you can take away from this piece of scripture. One of them is an interesting position about how Jesus interacts with his disciples. You see, on one hand, he acts as the most fundamental of servants, doing the thing for them that they didn't even do for each other, wash their feet. So he was serving all of them in that regard, in the lowly position of a servant. Yet at the same time, he was giving them direction and guidance as a master or a teacher. And so both of these things are true in this section of Scripture, that Jesus is both acting as a servant and as a master, washing their feet, yet correcting and admonishing his disciples at the same time. But at the end of the day, there's one key principle to take from all this, something that we can all use to do. And that is that Jesus represents the two aspects of our relationship with God. One is the vertical aspect, our relationship specifically to God in heaven. But the second and utterly important aspect is our relationship to other people. And Jesus pointing out to us that there has to be a necessary connection between these two dimensions of our walk with God and our relationship with him and our relationship and service to other people. So at the end of the day, we're called to serve and to treat others because we have been served.